Hello, friend. Welcome to Remarkable Results Radio. It's Carm Capriato and episode 535. Now, I'm with Dolah Salehhas, who is an educator, lecturer, and author with more than 20 years of experience counseling others in making optimum life choices, especially after a job loss. So as I thought about life changes that the pandemic has thrown our way and the tough choices about being safe, keeping our businesses on life support, job layoffs, furloughs, Dolah Salehhas came to mind, and her advice on getting through these challenges is what she's here to talk about. A huge decision for some is the reality of closing a business. Now, we've talked about this in the past, but never with the weight of COVID-19 forcing decisions you would have never thought to make. Dolah Salehhas is bringing a perspective on these challenges from job or business loss, and she's counseled many to find their next thing and deal with the pressure. Even if you're not affected by this topic, you may be the person in charge of a layoff or termination. Dolah's advice will help you understand the grieving process and help you and your people. Here's a taste.
People that love us and know us, they know things about us that we might not even know about ourselves. They may say, hey, did you ever think of this, right?
Hey, Carm here, and I'm honored to have you listening right now to the Aftermarket's premier podcast. You know, it's your support and patronage that fuels the podcast's burning engine. Now, we've been running for over 5 years, 750 plus episodes, bringing you unparalleled and unrivaled aftermarket resources and content. Now, our library holds the nuts and the bolts of automotive aftermarket acumen, young and old, founders and successors, techs and diagnosticians, shop owners and students, whatever your position may be. We are here to help you rise to new levels and meet your challenges with this online and on-demand podcast. You will learn the true meaning of listen to learn just one thing, especially in today's episode. Hey, Napa Expo has officially been rescheduled. I'm sure you know by now, February 1st through the 4th, 2021. You know, Las Vegas will be painted blue and gold as Team Napa puts on the fabulous event planned prior to the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, Napa wants to thank everyone for understanding the event postponement, and they send well wishes to you and your families. Rest assured, Team Napa is as energized and invested as ever in Napa Expo, and we look forward to hosting you in February 21. If there's anything I can do or even point you towards some great episodes to solve any of your own personal pain points, just reach out, carm@remarkableresults.biz. Also, the talking points for this episode are at remarkableresults.biz/E535. Hey, there's always a positive and a negative way to look at everything in life. Most of all, acceptance of change is the remedy. They say no man is an island, so we must take advantage of the networks we have. I'm with Dolah Salehhas, outplacement and executive search coach, author and consultant, brings her perspective to get from point A to point B and prove that a dose of positivity can go a long way during these kinds of crises. No doubt many are facing outcomes and decisions that you would have never have expected just 3 months ago. Now listen intently to some very powerful advice from Dolah Salehhas. A warm welcome to Dolah Salehhas. Oh my God, a friend of mine who is an outplacement and executive search person. Hi, Dolah.
Hi, Carm. How are you?
Great. You know, you're an author. You've got your own podcast called Love in Your Life. You're a rock star in helping people reinvent themselves.
Not quite like you.
Well, thank you. You're so kind. Hey, listen, the reason that you're here and that we're publishing this during this entire, pandemic and this crisis is because joblessness, businesses are closing, tough decisions are being made. It's an emotional time. People have to start embracing for the possibilities of moving on to their next world and their next career, stages to cope. And, you do all of this for people. And I thought it would be just great to have you on and to get some great advice on what's beyond this. If you lose your job, what's beyond the fact that you closed your business and you need to find a job. It's time for a career change. The stages to go through to reinvent yourself. Can you help us?
Whenever we experience a loss, whether it's a person or an involuntary job loss, we have to go through stages of it's called grieving, but it's really separating yourself from the thing that met your needs. You might have been happy there, you might have been satisfied there, you might have been able to put food on the table there. Whatever, the person that you're separating from. Most of the time when we find people are experiencing a grieving process when they lose a job, it's really not only about the job itself, but about the people with whom they worked, that they formed associations with, right? They're not having those people.
It doesn't mean that it's going to be gone, does it?
Not necessarily gone, but you may have to make some changes.
Not as close as it used to be, not as assumptive. Now you've got to reach out on purpose to connect with those people.
Yes, and possibly reinvent yourself into another direction if that other direction is not going to work anymore.
I can see this as a huge confidence step for people, having to, okay, now what do I do next? Woe is me, being very down. And, the whole point about, picking yourself up in the grieving process. Grieving process is real, right?
It is so real that it is immobilizing sometimes, Carm. And there are people over the last 20 years with whom I've worked that have been immobilized for a period of time. Sometimes it's 4 weeks, like you and I spoke about earlier. Sometimes it's 4 months. And sometimes it's an entire year before they can really gather what they, need to do in order to move forward again with their lives.
It's an awfully long time to be without a job.
It is. It's very serious and very discouraging, for people that need, like I said, to put food on the table, pay their mortgages. This is a tough time. Is
it worthy to have, a network right now, even though you may be gainfully employed, that could help post if you lose?
Absolutely. I think networking is probably the thing that most people report as the most helpful during this process. And by networking, I mean reaching out to people that, care about you and that will help in some way, whether it's to ask them questions, interview them about what they do. Even you doing these podcasts, maybe this is something people want to entertain. They reach out to people who are doing it very successfully, pick their brain. People want to help you when you're in this transition mode.
It's amazing when we think about networking, and we thought we not only talk about people that maybe can help you find the next job, but to, as you said, talk through it. And you prompted an idea, or not an idea, but a story. I remember being challenged with a problem, and I was really trying to work it out hard. So I finally said, I got to go talk to my dad. So I went in, I sat down, I talked to my dad, and I said, do me a favor, just listen, let me speak this whole thing through. And then wait, don't interrupt me. Do that, okay? Many can relate to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I started, and I'm doing this thing, and I'm outlining it from A to B. It's almost like I had a PowerPoint presentation, and I didn't. And I was just going. And then 3/4 of the way through, I did one of these aha moments. Right?
Yeah.
And I said, thanks, I got to go.
You just needed an ear.
Yes. And he looked at me and he goes, what did I do? I said, a lot.
Yeah. That's a super example. It really is, Carm, because sometimes you just need that ear. Somebody who cares enough about you to say, I'm here for you. What do you got going on? Tell me what you're thinking. Walk me through your, feelings if that's something that you need to do. Some people do need to be prompted to talk about their feelings.
So you place executive coaches and you help them into their transition. It's a completely different style of industry and type of job that we have, but yet it's personal, it's life-changing, not to minimize all the problems that are going on inside of our industry where businesses are closing and some are being furloughed and laid off and there's not enough work and what do I do? And forget about the Paycheck Protection Plan. It's there and it may work and it may keep some people gainfully employed, but let's talk about the ones that are losing their jobs or the owners out there that have to let people go, and let's help them help their people get through this.
Sometimes the best way to look at this, and there's always, this, Carm, there's always a positive and a negative way to look at everything in life, right? So sometimes I say to people, this is almost a gift for you. If you can switch your mind into looking at this as an opportunity to take a step back and reevaluate what you've been doing, how How happy have you been doing it? And if the answer is, I've been thrilled, I love this job, I want another job just like it, or I want to do exactly what I was doing, that's fine. I find by and large with my 20 years working with executives through transition, most of the time there was a benefit, a specific benefit to taking a step back and reevaluating what they had been up to and thinking, boy, this might be an opportunity to pursue something that's closer to my heart.
Hey, it's Carm here, talking to you about what the Napa Auto Care Center program can do for your business. Now, you probably already know the Napa brand is the most recognized and trusted name in the automotive aftermarket industry. In fact, studies show that 95% of consumers recognize Napa and associate it with quality parts, service, and technical expertise. So why not complete a Pro Image upgrade and take advantage of that? Pro Image is a co-branding program for the exterior and interior of your shop. On the outside, it includes the Napa colors and distinctive Napa signage. While the public may know you as a reliable, locally owned business, a Pro Image upgrade helps set your shop apart from the competition even further. It's also a visual signal to customers and potential customers that you and Napa are partners. Most importantly, Pro Image really works. This co-branding opportunity has helped Napa Auto Care Centers across the country increase their car counts and sales. In fact, those that have completed a Pro Image project enjoy an average 23% sales increase during the first year. Pro Image upgrades are also available for the interior of your shop. A Pro Image interior upgrade transforms your customer waiting area from merely utilitarian to warm and welcoming. The goal is to maintain your shop's independent identity while enhancing the customer's experience. You can get a free look at what a Pro Image exterior and interior upgrade could look like by visiting the Napa Auto Care members site and clicking on the Napa Pro Image link under the Napa Pro Image tab. Or contact your local Napa Auto Parts store. Your servicing Napa store can tell you more about Pro Image, plus the hundreds of other reasons to become part of the Napa Auto Care family, the largest network of independent automotive repair shops in the country. I'm going to narrow this down to the fact that I'm a technician working for 20 years in the industry, and I own my own tools. I have a ton of investment in it. I strongly believe I'm a team player. I'm an owner that has a business that isn't going to make it, and I've been struggling, so the decision to close it is there, and now I've got to go job hunting. We can look at the positives and the negatives, but I'm worried about that reinvention. I like what you say because it may be a fabulous opportunity in time that says, listen, I was a great technician, and now I'm a business owner, and I close my business. What do I do now? All right, dig down deep inside. Have you loved what you've done? And if you can't find anything else deep inside of you that would prompt you to go into a different pathway, then stick with what you know and go out and reinvent yourself, write a great resume, and start interviewing and go out and become a foreman somewhere, right?
Exactly. What other jobs are there out there? And there are ways to find what those jobs are. You know, you can network, but you can also go online and do some, Googling. What jobs were related to what you were doing? There's a variety of jobs that are around one industry. Yeah,
I guess as a business owner, there's a lot of management positions, and there are many owners that are building multiple shops, and they're looking for operations directors and not just necessarily technicians, but lead store location managers. So I get that part on the owner, and you're right. Technicians, half toolbox will travel, and I think they could be gainfully employed tomorrow if they wanted to. But if I find myself out building confidence for the job search, and you mentioned earlier that grieving process, how long will it last? And how much will it affect the family? I'm out of work, I'm the breadwinner. Oh.
Right. That's up to the individual, Carm. There's no real answer to that other than, like you said, go internally and really find that strength to get yourself up again and consider what's out there that I can do. What can I offer a prospective employer that really can utilize my best strengths and allow me to be confident enough to sell my way in? And a lot of times it's sitting across from somebody, like I said, that has that kind of a job themselves and picking their brain and saying, how did you get the job? Develop a marketing plan for yourself,
So I'm on the phone with Dolah and I says, hey, come on, you got to come on the podcast. We're in this interesting transition in our industry. And I have some experience in this, reinvention thing.
Yeah, you do.
You talked to me about the grieving process, which we were just talking about: shock, denial, anger, depression, and acceptance. And that curve, it's the J curve of change. You got to go way down deep in the bottom in order to come up and out. Help us with that.
The experts in this world of grieving, they say that it's not necessarily a linear process. So you don't go from, shock and denial to acceptance in a linear fashion necessarily. Sometimes you go in and out of things. There are good days and bad days, right? So sometimes you're depressed and sometimes you get downright angry. And then you back up into, some sort of bargaining or denial. It moves around.
And you don't know that day that comes by that says, I've accepted this. Now it's time to reinvent or to move on and to do some other things. So you're dragging the spouse, the family through shock, denial, anger, depression, and finally acceptance, right?
Exactly. And some people go through it very quickly and get to acceptance because they have that sort of whatever that is, that stuff of strength that says, you know what? Okay, poop happens. I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to, rely on my strengths and my positivity and reinvent myself in another direction where I know I can give. I have something to give. We all have something to give. That's the one thing, Carm. If you can really get in touch with what your strengths are and what your gifts are, your talents, your specialties, you can sell that to anyone.
I'm sitting at home. I'm in shock. I'm in denial. I'm angry. I'm depressed. My spouse comes over to me, puts their hand on the shoulder and said, we're going to get through this. We can move on. How many people accept this? You're just trying to make me feel good. But that, to me, needs to be a motivator, that you've got someone supporting you.
Absolutely. The people that do go through this relatively easily are those that have spouses that are supportive. And I have had executives not tell their families that they were let go out of such fear and such a sense of failure and upset. So, I wouldn't take that track for anything. I would convince myself that my spouse will be supportive and I will accept her or his support in my process. Okay,
so I'm into acceptance. Now I have to mobilize myself somehow. I've got to pick myself up by the adhesive strap and do something, right? Mobilization is kind of the next big step.
It is a term because it allows us to go forward, right? It's not keeping us, I say immobilized state because you can't move forward when you're sitting there just feeling sorry for yourself. That has a very, very immobilizing effect. It's like, where do I go? Who do I talk to? Just start moving. The way a baby walks, puts one foot in front of the other. Take baby steps toward it. Meet with somebody for coffee, sit down and talk about your thoughts about, what jobs you were thinking of going into. See if you can get somebody that has expertise in the direction that you need and pick their brain and buy them a cup of coffee and, chat with them, see what they think. They may not only help you verbally, they may have someone else you should talk to. That's what perfect networking is. Talking to one person and getting 2 names and talking to those 2 people and getting 3 names and, so on.
If I have this acceptance thing going on, then it opens my mind to think creatively about what's next. It allows me to keep an open mind, not only a creative, but an open mind saying, I don't need to be pigeonholed in any one thing. And if an opportunity comes up and the spouse comes over and she says, hey, did you ever think about this? Once you have acceptance, you may say, why not? I haven't interviewed in years. Let me go try it. Let me go find out. Because you never know what's around the next corner, do you?
That's right. And you know what, Carm? People that love us and know us, they know things about us that we might not even know about ourselves. Yeah, they may say, hey, did you ever think of this, right? Because I know that you are blah, blah, blah. And you're like, really? Is that what you're perceiving about me? Yes, you are. You're great at that. And you start opening up your mind.
Got it. So one of the things you mentioned was look to analyze what your strengths, your weaknesses, your interests, and your needs are. Push us in the right direction on that analysis part.
A lot of people don't know. So they get kind of, when I do an executive, for example, they're being paid. Usually the company that lets them go will allow me to assess them in a professional sense. So I put them through a professional assessment process, and that brings up a whole host of things about themselves that they get to talk about. And sometimes, perhaps for the first time in their lives, they're talking about their needs and strengths and interests, and how that will comport with a prospective situation or direction or option in terms of a career path or a career option. So sometimes those processes are very, very helpful. But if you don't have somebody paying for the assessment and you don't want to fork out a couple $100 to do it, then you can sit with somebody, like I said, that knows you, somebody that you've worked for. How about that? How about a person, a colleague, a peer, a boss, a superior that you have a good relationship with? They know about you. And you really can self-assess using their input.
I would recommend 2 tests for our industry. And off the Tony Robbins website, you can take a DISC test for free. I still believe it's available. We've done DISC episodes. Yeah, we've done DISC episodes. If you just go to my website, search bar, type in DISC, and you'll see that. It'll show your dominant strengths, your extroversion strengths, your conformity strengths, and also the Clifton Strengths Finders test. You buy the book, you get the code, and you find out what your top strengths are. And you read them and you believe them. Unlike me, when I took my first one, I didn't think it was really me, but it really was. And then look at that and say, "Wow, I'm reinventing myself. I've talked myself off the cliff, and now I know what it is." So as tough as life can be in job loss or business closure, we don't have to wait forever to reinvent ourselves.
Not at all. And this, Carm, I use the Berkman, and I've been certified in Myers-Briggs and everything else, DISC. I've been certified in all those, and everybody has their favorites. Mine is the Berkman because the Berkman offers myriad reports about you. So you can say, well, I want to know what my leadership style is. It'll have a report. I want to know what my career options are. It has a report. So, you can take that. It's basically fundamental to across the board, Carm, to maintain positivity, really have a good attitude about this. It's a horrible thing. We're going through a horrible time in our history. But to understand that you're not alone, and, there are options for you. You're going to be okay. It's hard to look at it that way right now, but to really gain strength from knowing that you have value, you have worth, figure that out. Figure out what is your thing. You're a unique person with unique strengths. Figure that out, stay positive, and roll forward. And whatever. Well,
great advice. Thank you. Dolah Salehhas, Outplacement Executive Search Coach. Written a couple of books, haven't you? And
yes,
you have your own podcast, Love in Your Life. And actually, Dolah and I recorded a podcast episode for her. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's cool. Hey, thanks for being here. I know this was a great, great help to our industry.
Thanks, Carm, so much.
Thanks for being on board to listen and learn from the premier automotive aftermarket podcast. Until next time.